You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Black helicopters, government corruption, waging war on the New World Order. It's all right here on the Jon Arthur Live Radio Show. Now, live from his worldwide command post in the studios of WXEI, 95.3 FM in Crestview, Florida. Here is Jon Arthur.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jim Michaels. Hello, America. Hello, world. The Jon Arthur Live Radio Show is on the air. We're broadcasting live this evening right here in the studios of WXEI 95.3 FM, the talk of Crestview. Coming up this hour, a man interrogated, searched, and detained for, quote, suspicious filming of police officers. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about an asteroid set to skim past the Earth in a rare, very distant pass. Scary, scary stuff. We'll talk about that as well. And we'll talk about a classic revelation. Ronald Reagan carried a gun with him after the assassination attempt on his life. All this plus your calls today, 253-323-7555. We're working on the toll-free lines. We should have the toll-free lines back. That number, 877-777-WXEI. But we'll have that number back as soon as we can. We're working on that. But to start off the radio show, you know, schools are not the same as they were when you and I were going to school. When you and I were going to school, you know, the problems that we had in school were kids chewing gum, you know, and throwing spitballs at each other. Now, believe it or not, the teachers consider the students to be terrorists. I'm not kidding. Instead of worrying about chewing gum or using a straw to spit wads of paper at other students, teachers are now using spy software to detect potential child terrorists. I'm not kidding. Schools throughout the United Kingdom now are being provided new surveillance software aimed at detecting, quote, extremist students. Did you ever think that it was going to come down to this? Did you ever think it was going to get to the point where teachers were basically using software to see if their students were soon to be Osama bin Ladens? It's utterly bizarre. The program, designed by UK-based Impero Software, assists schools in building threat profiles on their individual students by utilizing real-time electronic monitoring. So how would you like to go to school and every day you're at school, know that your school is analyzing you to see if you're going to be a terrorist? I can tell you that would not fly with Jon Arthur. That would not fly with me, because obviously I would be, you know, like, well, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I can't do this. I can't do it. I'm gone. Put me in a private school. Let me just be a bum. I don't know, whatever. But installed now on school laptops and tablets, the new software uses keyword search capabilities and URL monitoring to detect the use of terrorism-related words and phrases. I'm not making this up, folks. The school system is analyzing kids in the UK as potential terrorist threats. Protecting young people from the dangers of radicalization requires positive online counter-extremism and empowering teachers with technology like Impero's keyword library. It's an important part of this process, so said Jonathan Russell, the software developer, in an interview with the BBC. So, again, your children are now being set up to be analyzed as a terrorist. According to Impero software employee Sally Ann Griffiths, the keyword library gives schools the ability to stay up to date with the latest jihadist terms. I know some of you are saying, John, where do you come up with this stuff? Where do you come up with this insanity that you talk about on a daily basis? All you have to do is scour the internet. Drudge Report's a great start. You can Google this stuff. You can find this stuff. It's insanity. This is a story off the BBC. Mainstream story about Big Brother surveilling the school students as terrorists. By defining terms such as Yodo, a phrase used by jihadist sympathizers, meaning you only die once, the glossary gives teachers who are part of the solution to the problem the tools they need to identify, intervene, and safeguard at-risk pupils, Griffiths said. The software's implementation follows the February passage of the Counterterrorism and Security Act, a law which, among other things, tasks educators with preventing the radicalization of school children. Folks, do you understand here now the New World Order? And do you understand their thought process now on making sure that all of us are surveilled, including our children? Including our children now, who obviously are now the target of surveillance as, of course, terrorists. It just boggles my mind. That's all I can tell you. It boggles my mind because obviously, you and I are part of the solution and not part of the problem, but the New World Order doesn't see it that way. They see you and I as the problem. Two 253-323-7555. 253-323-7555. Again, just boggles the mind. It boggles the mind that you and I are certainly the ones who are the bad guys. And, of course, our kids are the bad guys, too. We've got to make sure that Osama bin Laden's not in the third grade in the UK or in the United States of America, right? We've got to make sure. Because, my God, all of our kids are potential terrorists. They're all little budding jihadists. That is, according to at least the story. The software's implementation allows teachers across the country arguing that the law places an unlawful and unenforceable duty on educational institutions and staff. It's turning teachers now into spies in their own classrooms. Some of the teachers are not down with it. A lot of the teachers are. That's the problem. The best response to acts of terror against UK civilians is to maintain and to defend an open democratic society in which discriminatory behavior of any kind is effectively challenged, The Guardian wrote. Draconian crackdowns on the rights of academics and students will not achieve the ends the government says it seeks, however. The law also raises questions given the ever-expanding definition of a terrorist, which is increasingly being applied to peaceful political activists, both in the UK and in the United States of America. So the definition of a terrorist is changing all the time. Similar systems now are being adopted by education centers in the United States. Some schools are even looking into biometric classroom programs that will monitor individual eye movements, facial expressions, and conversations. Wow. Big Brother, 1984, in your face in the classroom. And that's in the United States. That's right here in the good old U.S. of A. I found so many stories tonight. An after-school program instructor was fired for discussing Sandy Hook with kids during a lockdown. There's mind-reading technology that's taken a huge leap forward. Really. Big Brother is on the move. Big Brother is alive and well in America and in the UK. And realistically, if you want to look at it, Big Brother's alive and well worldwide. Worldwide, folks. This is a worldwide epidemic with epidemic proportions. Well, a police state story. A new video has surfaced. A man exercising his First Amendment right to film in public, by the way, was confronted by the Gestapo, who proceeded to interrogate, search, handcuff, and detain him in what appears to be obviously a blatant violation of his civil rights. But why is this being allowed to happen? Why do police officers feel that they can do whatever they feel like doing and then, if necessary, pay the price later? I guess that's my problem. The man who goes by the handle The Batusi on YouTube routinely conducts what he terms First Amendment audits to ensure police around Central Texas are upholding their fellow citizens' constitutional rights. I say God bless this guy. I say God bless this man for trying to keep the police honest. For trying to keep the police honest, right? Because obviously they're not. The police are not honest. They're part of the problem, not part of the solution. Well, last Tuesday, while filming a police substation in North Austin, Texas, the activist was approached by 3 Austin police officers who demanded to know what he was up to. Okay? That's the first thing they did. They came in, they said, "Hey, what are you up to?" Knowing full well probably who he is. They're just tired of him keeping them straight and honest. The activist, in accordance with his right to remain silent, refused to answer any questions that they had for him, further aggravating the officers. And according to the story, the officers were aggravated. You know what I say to that? To hell with these officers. They are public servants. They are supposed to be doing the will of the people, right? That's the way I see it. These people are supposed to be doing the will of the people, not the will of the New World Order. But I digress. Absent of justification, the officers began insisting the man identify himself. The reason we're out on you is you caused kind of a scare up here, so we're trying to figure out what's going on. So you videotaping for a reason, or what's going on? One officer says. Am I doing anything illegal? The man filming asks. To which one plainclothes cop says yes. Before correcting himself and saying, no, you're not doing anything illegal, but based on your suspicious activity, we're going to go ahead and ID you. Despite refusing to consent to a search, police begin to frisk him. I mean, wow. May we search you? No, they do it anyway. Yeah, I see that as a huge problem. I do. May we search you? No, they do it anyway. That's an issue. Again, I guess what we're seeing here is a failure of our government and our society to hold these police officers accountable. He can either provide us this information willingly, or we can do it through the ID section downtown. The plainclothes officer identified as Shirley 4895. The officer states, I know you're used to this going one way based on the YouTube education you've got. But that's not how we do it, the officer states, as the activist asserts he's filming in a public area. So with the comments from the one officer admitting that he knows basically that this guy is on YouTube, that he is an activist, obviously then we know without a shadow of a doubt that they know this guy, that they're profiling this guy. They know that he is an activist, so they are profiling him. Well, again, astonishingly, after handcuffing the suspect, one of the cops continues to place the man's camera in ideal filming locations. The suspect then spends nearly 20 minutes in the front of a squad car as police conduct their investigation into his identity, all the while being berated by officers hell-bent on forcing his compliance. What's up with this? It's just bizarre. Following his release from temporary captivity, the man films lines on his wrist indicative of tight handcuffs. In the video's comments section, the activist says he's currently seeking a local attorney in Texas. I don't blame him. Because, again, the Gestapo, the police state, marches on. And who's the one that suffers? We do. We, the American people. Who would have ever thought? And I look back, going all the way back, my friends, to maybe 2000. 15 years. I can't believe it's been 15 years. I feel like 15 years of my life have just flown by. And I'm still feeling like I'm the same guy. I'm still here in the studios of WXEI. I'm still broadcasting. And yet the world that I knew then is no longer valid. The United States of America that I knew when I started this radio show is gone. It is gone. And sad to say, it's probably not ever going to come back. It's a depressing thought. Let me tell you a little tidbit here real quick before we hit the bottom of the hour break. I've got a Facebook page for my acting career. For some of you that may not know it, I have been a featured extra on quite a few movies, and I'm attempting to become a supporting actor, which is ironic. As much as I despise the government, as much as I at times despise Hollywood, as much as I am very vocal, I've still been doing very well with the Hollywood scene and the Hollywood crowd, despite being an ultra-conservative. Now, that could probably change at any given moment. Trust me. But day before yesterday, I decided, you know what, because we had a Facebook page for the radio show a couple of years ago, and it was hijacked, and I never got it back. So I thought to myself, I'm going to create another Facebook page and separate what I'm doing with Hollywood and have a place where it's dedicated to the radio show, like it was before. I set the whole thing up. All of a sudden, I had hundreds of requests from Christians and patriots for friendship, almost immediately. It was bizarre. And by that evening, the Facebook page was already hijacked, gone. I could no longer access it. That fast. So no matter what I'm doing in Hollywood, no matter what I'm doing with my movie career, and television career, it's the radio show that they fear. It's my constant berating of the government and the police state and the New World Order that worries these people. No wonder they're trying to stop my radio show. They've been doing it for years. They want me off the air, and they've been doing a great job of initiating that. But I'm going to tell you, every opportunity, like last night and tonight, that we can do this show, we're going to continue on. No matter what the conflicts are, I'm going to try and do this radio show as much as I can. As much as I can. Much to the chagrin of the New World Order police state and the demonic influences that are becoming darker and darker these days. All right, folks, we're going to take our bottom of the hour break. We'll be back for segment number 2. You're listening to Jon Arthur live on the First Amendment Radio Network. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Sinners washed its power at Calvary, Calvary.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Are we walking into the enemy's camp, laying our weapons down, shedding our armor as we go, leaving it on the ground? We've got to be strong in the power of His might, prove to the enemy. We are the army of the Lord, and we've won the victory.
33 minutes after the hour, you're listening to the Jon Arthur Live Radio Show, coast to coast and around the world. Welcome back to segment number 2 of the fastest hour on your radio. If you'd like to get involved on the show, I would love to hear from you. All you have to do is pick up your telephone, 253-323-7555, 253-323-7555, if you'd like to get involved on the show. It's getting harder and harder for people to have good credit these days, and I'm a living example of that. I've had shining, perfect credit for years and years and years, but lately things have been getting really, really tight. And obviously, I'm chasing a dream of becoming an actor, acting on movies and television, and continuing to promote this radio show as best as possible, and to keep WXCI afloat, to keep the radio station on the air. My goodness, all on a shoestring budget. We're doing it, but it's getting rough, and banks now are beginning to demand that customers account for every deposit, every withdrawal in their account, now before they can even obtain a mortgage. So, and this is something that we're seeing with Citibank. It's another illustration of how capital controls imposed on the middle class are starting to intensify. So if you've got a house, hold on to it. Got a piece of property, hold on to it. Because if not, you're going to have to start accounting for every red cent that you have. Economist Martin Armstrong said, "My sister just bought a house, and to get the mortgage, she had to explain every deposit, every cash withdrawal in her account, going back for 5 years." I probably couldn't tell you what was deposited in my account or withdrawn from my account 5 weeks ago. As horrible as that sounds. Maybe 5 days ago. I don't know. I've got so much garbage going on in my life. The devil is attacking me. I hope you folks understand that I have been under severe attack for 3 months, at least. The radio show's been under attack for well over a year. You know, I got involved with a young woman, and I thought that the young woman was a nice Southern belle, Southern girl, nice, going to be sweet, going to be good for me. Turns out she was the daughter of Satan. Turns out she was put in my life by the devil to ruin my life, to ruin everything that I have, including my health, including perhaps my livelihood, perhaps my very inner soul. It's at least taken a couple of months for me to get back to normal without crying every day, without crying every 5 minutes. If that sounds insane, I apologize. If that sounds like, wow, you are a nut job, John, if you're crying every 5 minutes. You know what? I cry for America. I cry out to God every single day, folks. I pray without ceasing. Not only for what happened to me, but for this nation, for this radio station, for this radio network. I pray for Nicholas Arthur. I pray for this country. I pray for people in my path to accept the Lord Jesus Christ as their Savior. Oh my God. I can tell you that talking to God every day it's exhausting. I love God. But when God and I have a knockdown drag out together, it's rough. It's rough because you know what? I don't win. I don't. I yell and I scream and I throw a fit like I'm a 5-year-old child. And I cry and I beg and I plead. And God's probably looking at me like, dude, calm down. Calm down, man. I've got this under control. And I'm like, no, things are jacked up. Everything's falling apart. My credit's going to hell in a handbasket. Sure, I'm getting on all these movies. Sure, my career is getting better. Oh, so then what happens? Well, the legislature in Louisiana over the last month has decided that they want to cap Hollywood to $180 million a year in tax credits, which will ultimately kill Hollywood South. Ultimately, that will kill what has been thriving for the last 3 years. A lot of you folks don't understand that while we've been doing the radio show, while we've been running WXEI Radio, I have also, for the last 3 years, been working on a movie career, an acting career. And it has been thriving. Maybe not so much financially, because that comes ultimately, but it has been thriving in the fact that I have had many featured parts on a lot of movies, and my whole goal eventually is to act exclusively in Christian films. Hollywood probably doesn't want to hear that, and that's fine. But that's my goal. My goal is to tell the truth on a radio show every single day if possible, and to promote Jesus Christ with my acting skills on Christian movies and television. Oh, that's a recipe for disaster in your life. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, that's a recipe for disaster, especially if somebody that you're seeing, somebody that you're living with, and I understand that living with somebody is wrong, and maybe that's obviously why God was not blessing me with a healthy relationship, because obviously you can't violate God's laws and think, well, hey, I'm doing this for you, God. God's gonna no. You're just like anyone else, John. You're just like anyone else. You don't get special privileges to live with a female just because you do a radio show. Who made you something special? But I can tell you that if you're unequally yoked with somebody in your relationship, get out. Get out as quickly as you can. Because the longer you're in an unhealthy relationship with somebody who's unequally yoked with you, the harder it's going to be when it falls apart. It'll break you in half. It will break you in two. It will break your heart. You will no longer be able to function on a daily basis. And I'm speaking to men about this. From a female standpoint, it appears the individual that I was with couldn't care less. Just went right back to her old boyfriend, and life is grand. Drinking up a storm, let's get drunk and fornicate and continue life as usual. Life is great. After destroying a Christian patriot radio talk show host / actor. And I'm not going to bore you with more of that. But I'm just saying, the world that we live in is not the same as it was when you and I started this journey. Because we started this journey in the year 2000. 15 years on the air. That's incredible in itself. And Nicholas Arthur has been on the air a lot longer than I have. Worked with Truth Radio and First Amendment Radio, and it's just fabulous. It's an honor working with somebody like Nicholas Arthur. But I can tell you, I'm not perfect. I'm anything but perfect. But at the same point, at the same juncture, God and I, we're tight. God and I are so tight that He looks at me and says, "Dude, I'm going to do what you want, but I'm going to do it my way. You want a wife? You want kids? You'll do it my way. You want an acting career? You want a radio career? You're going to do it my way. You're not going to do it your way, John. Well, God, I thought my way was your way. No. The little Southern belle with the Southern charm is an alcoholic. The little Southern belle with the Southern charm has been Baker acted 3 times. The little Southern belle that you thought was sweet and Christian is a deceiver. And is from Satan, John. A demonic spawn from hell. Wow. Well, God, why didn't you stop me? Why didn't you tell me not to get involved with this person? Well, because you have free will, John. Because you should be smart enough to follow me and not follow these human beings, right? Okay. So every day, God and I have a knockdown, drag-out session, and God wins. God wins every time. I love God. I will serve God. I honor God. I will do God's will. But God and I, we got this thing going on every day. I just want you to know this. And if you don't believe me, you can probably ask my neighbors, because I'm sure that they hear me crying out to God every day. They probably hear me yelling like I'm a crazy person. They don't realize I am talking to somebody. I'm not talking to my dog. I'm not talking on the phone. I'm talking to God Almighty. I'm talking to Jesus Christ. And I'm begging God to heal my heart, to heal my soul, so that I can continue on doing His will and His will only. And to stop worrying about what the world does. To stop worrying about what demonic spawns from hell have done to my inner being and to my soul. 253-323-7555 if you'd like to get involved on the show. 2015 it's obviously not the America that we thought we had after Bill Clinton even. I mean, my goodness. I can remember back in 1991 and discovering Patrick J. Buchanan in 91 and thinking, wow, this is me. This is who I am. I'm a conservative. At that time, I was a very, very young Christian, because I had just started listening to Christian music, listening to Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith and Stryper and Petra, and thinking, wow, there is something different out there for me. There is something different. God is alive. There is a God. I remember being in the back of a U-Haul while I was playing in a rock band, and it was me and the drummer. We were unloading some stuff out of the back of the U-Haul, and I came to the revelation that I was not almighty. I came to the revelation that I was not God. I was not going to live forever, at least not my way. I'm going to live forever, God's way, as long as God continues to forgive me for being a moron at times, for being an idiot, for seeing an unsavory person, for allowing an unsavory person in my life who had no regard for me, had no regard for my dog, had no regard for my salvation, no regard for my heart and my soul, except to try and tear them all down and to destroy them all. And one day I'll tell the whole story on the air. much to the chagrin of some of the folks that know me. But I can look at what I went through over the last 3 months now, over the last year. I'm starting to break free of the demonic influences that were present on me. And I'm starting to break free and starting to realize that this was Satan himself. Satan himself trying to ruin me. You know, I look at somebody like Jimmy Swaggart, and a lot of people, they look at Jimmy Swaggart and they go, oh, they're all disgusted. They're disgusted with him. Because after all, you know, you had a pastor, an evangelist, who was checking out prostitutes, right? Checking out chicks. I can tell you that in the world that we live in, the devil is going to use whatever is your weakness. If your weakness is alcohol, oh, he's going to use it against you. Just like the demonic minion that was in my life. Addicted to alcohol. Addicted to alcohol. Alcohol is her life. Wakes up, got to drink a beer. Goes to sleep, got to drink about 20 of them. And God knows what else that she can get her hands on. If women are your downfall, the devil's going to use them. He's going to put them in your path. And you know what God says? God says, flee. Flee. If he puts Lucy Lou in your path, well, unless Lucy Lou wants to get married and have children and worship Christ. That was a little humor there for a certain person listening tonight. Probably listening, driving down the road. But whatever the persuasion that's put in front of you, flee, run. I don't care how sweet of a southern charm this person seems like they have. I don't care how you may be attracted to them or enticed by them. Unless it's God's delivery, you better run. Unless God gave that to you, you need to flee. I made the mistake in February of 2014 of not fleeing. I got a text message. I went over. I didn't flee. I didn't do anything wrong at that point. I thought I was a strong enough Christian that I could go into the lion's den and then just walk away. I did the first day. The first day I did. I got a disturbing text message, went to this person's house. The person was unsavory and drunk. But I walked away. I did flee. I flee, folks. I did. So what does the devil do? The devil says, well, come on back for more, Mr. Christian. Mr. I can walk into the lion's den and be unscathed. Come on back again. Try it again. So, you know, I think the only thing that bothers me, and you know how I am. I'm as hardcore of a Christian and a conservative as you can get. You hear me on this radio show ranting and raving about righteousness, that righteous indignation that I'm trying to recapture. But in February of 2014, I fell for the devil's lies. I did. And from February 2014 to April 4th, 2015, just over a year, I fell for the devil's lies. And it's interesting when you're involved with somebody that is not a Christian, that it has demonic influences. It's constant confusion. Constant confusion. If you're in a relationship and you don't have a calm, easy feeling, a comfortable feeling, get out of it. Trust me. If it's constant confusion and constant conflict, I mean, things can be good at times, but that's just the devil keeping you in it. Things can be great on one level, and then the rest of the time, whoa, constant deception, constant lies, constant abusing of drugs and alcohol, constant let's go to church. No, yeah, hey, look, I got to work. Let's go to church. No, hey, look, my schedule's not allowing it. That's the only thing that I regret, is that I didn't push church like I feel like I should have. But I got out the hard way. And, the last month now, this last month, my friends, God has allowed, just like Job, has allowed the devil to attack me on every single level. I have gone through hell for the last month, my friends. But I keep thinking, God's not going to give me more than I can handle. And I'm going to be strong. And I'm going to get through this. And I'm going to come out even stronger than I was. And I'm going to have even more righteous indignation than I had before. Well, folks, I'm working on that. I want you to bear with me because I'm working on it. And I'll get through this. But I want to thank each and every one of you for hanging in there with me. For hanging in there with this radio show. For hanging in there with First Amendment Radio Network. Because since February of 2014, folks, I've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been fun. And, of course, on top of that, of course, then you throw in the government wanting my radio show off the air. I'm surprised I don't have 1,000 gray hairs on the top of my head. And I probably do, just don't realize it. Folks, we're going to take back America. We're going to take back folks for God. There's a lot of good people out there. But there's a lot of horrible, demonic influences that you and I have to stay away from. We have to flee, folks. You have to flee. You got to do it God's way, not your way. When you do it your way, it's going to fail. And you're going to become under attack.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded. It has been borrowed. It has been purchased. It has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.